Hello everyone, how's it going? It's your friendly neighborhood infectious disease guy, Rajeev Fernando, here with another update on COVID-19. So today we're going to talk about the chances of the vaccine really working or not. There have been some concerns in the media or people talking about the fact that after one gets infected with COVID-19, within 2 months their antibody levels go down, and we're talking about what are the chances of getting reinfected and what's going to happen with the vaccine. So let's get underway. We've done this complicated diagram, but I am going to break it down for all of you out there. So let's start over here. This is your SARS-CoV virus over here. Remember, we discussed the other day how it binds to receptors, gets in. So once SARS-CoV-2 gets into the cells, there's something called, there are two types of immunity. One is called innate immunity, the other is called acquired immunity. The innate immunity is something you actually have from birth. It's what you have within you. And the acquired immunity is something you get once you see a virus or a pathogen. That's when you create an adaptive immunity. So let's start with the first step over here. You are seeing the innate immunity kick in. And this really kicks in about 30 minutes or an hour of the virus coming in. So within an hour, you have this innate immunity. What is innate immunity? You're going to see these early inflammatory cells over here. You're going to see that, cytokines, TNF. These are what's called the innate immunity. Once this does is it causes release of neutrophils, causes release of macrophages, and over here you're going to have this cytokine release. What is this cytokine release? Now, in our previous videos, we were talking about a cytokine storm. And what does that mean? A cytokine storm is basically a battle between the virus and the immune system, and that's exactly what this is. So it's all these cytokines which actually attack the virus, and there's a big fight over there. What happens over here is this usually happens about day 7 or day 8 of the virus. So someone infected with COVID-19, first few days, they kind of cruise around, some basic symptoms, fevers, chills, fatigue, not feeling great, and some cough. But when you suddenly see someone jumping with high fevers, really sick, you can say the innate immunity has kicked in, and you're having a battle between these cytokines over here and the virus. So that's how the first cell actually acts. This is the innate immunity. Moving forward, let's go to the next step over here. These are something called dendritic cells over here. And dendritic cells actually capture something called antigens. This is the virus right here, SARS-CoV-2. You're seeing this over here. This actually goes further over here. And once again, you can see this is the antigen, and this is something called a dendritic cell. So this is something called an antigen presentation. So I'm going to show you this over here. This is an antigen over here. And an antigen presentation over here is you're going to see this antigen, which is presented to a CD4 cell over here. So once this antigen is presented, that's what you have another form of immunity called the acquired immunity. And this is what the body sees and now starts reacting to the pathogen. So what happens over here? This is a CD4 cell. This is what you see in HIV. People with HIV have low CD4 cells. So once again, what happens over here is 2 cells actually start. So this is what's called a T cell response, which directly kills the virus. The other one is what's called a B cell response. And this is where you see the antibody binding to this antigen over here and killing it. Now, this is the big commotion people are talking about, is after an infection, you typically should have antibodies initially, but they disappear after 2 months. So what is going on with that? So if a virus actually disappears after 2 months, you're considered possible that you can get a reinfection. But why aren't they reinfections? We hear about it, it's an important concept, but there are very, very few reinfections. We're talking about China. This has started in December to here we are in August. Where are these reinfections? That's because you have another cell. That's the T cell response. And the T cell response are responsible for directly killing viruses, and you can't actually measure this. So that's a problem. So you do have some level of immunity after your antibody levels go down after an infection. You still have T cells, and that's what's responsible for preventing reinfections. All right, moving forward, let's go into what a vaccine is. So a vaccine is what you have to actually, once again, the same concept over here. It's an adaptive immunity. So what a vaccine is going to do is it's going to have two components over here. One is called an antigen, which is the virus itself, and the other is called an adjuvant. Now these two act together, just one on top of each other, and the antigen activates the B cells and the T cells, and the adjuvant over here is responsible to kick off the immune system. So that's really what's happening. And the antigen, once again, let's go back all the way down here. This is the way the antigen is over here, binds to the antibody and actually kills the cell. And once again, this induces T cells. The vaccine also activates a T cell, and that's how it kills the virus. So I'm actually very, very hopeful for a vaccine to be really a really good idea, and I think it's really going to work. We have 165 vaccines in development, 165. And just by the fact that when you look at the media where they say the race for the vaccine, so that actually tells us there are a lot of vaccines out there. And the question is, it's not who's going to have the vaccine, it's a question of who's going to have the vaccine first. So these are really promising. Like I said, many vaccines have passed through phase 2 and we're in phase 3. Remember what phase 3 is, we've discussed before, that you have about people who are given a placebo and people who have been given the real vaccine. This is studied over a period of 6 months to see how it builds immune levels. And the other thing is to see these really uncommon side effects and to see how they react in people. So I am very confident we're going to have a very successful vaccine. You see the numbers in America where people say, I don't want to get the vaccine. It's really 40% right now. But my answer to that is really how would people say I'm going to get the vaccine without even having one right now? So that's important. As the vaccine comes out, once again, it's going to be very successful. I can't tell you with certainty how long the immunity is. We'll have to watch for that, but my feel is it's going to be very successful. So thanks again for joining me on another edition of COVID-19. We'll see you on the flip side. Later.